Hey, how's it going, everyone? This is Mr. Murray coming to you with a breakdown of the Course 1 stats quiz. This is for Cohort C1, Period C, Cohort 1. All right, so in this video, I'm going to be giving you guys a brief breakdown of how the quiz works, the different kinds of questions you're going to see, and some important things you might want to know as we go through them. All right, my hope is, because I've been getting questions like, hey, can I make it up? Can I retake it? Here's the thing. I'd like for people to, again, watch the video, understand what went well, understand what they might need to improve, thinking about what might I need to do better next time, all right? And then come at it fresh the next time we have an opportunity like this, having that knowledge, gaining those skills, filling in those gaps, and have the satisfaction of performing better on the next go and actually mastering the content, because that's so important. Okay, so I'm going to jump into it with this little breakdown here of preferred learning plan and favorite class. Okay, we did a breakdown, and unsurprisingly, you know what, people likes math the best. No surprise there. All right, notice how hybrid and modern world cultures, ooh, those are mutually exclusive. Ooh, there's no overlap. There's a little term right there. Okay, what percent of respondents like the hybrid mode and prefer math class? So this is going to be 37 out of 192. And remember, the fraction is so important, everyone. It's just so important that you include that fraction. Anyone can take a bunch of numbers and put them into a calculator and figure out what they are divided. I want to know what numbers you put in there. That matters more to me than assessing your ability to use your fingers and type in some numbers. Okay, so if you did not put those numbers in there, yes, it did result in a pretty significant loss of credit, because that was the key work. And so here what you're going to end up getting is about 19.3% or 19.27. I would take that as well. This is a joint relative frequency. Some of us are still getting this mixed around conditional relative frequency. I would say if that's you, please consider taking another look at that. But also, if you're dividing by everyone, it's not going to be a conditional relative frequency, because those you only divide by some people, as we're going to see now. So this says, what percent of people like biology given that they prefer remote learning? So given that they prefer remote learning means we're going to cross out these, and these, because these people do not prefer remote learning. These folks do. So that means that there's 9 people who prefer biology and 65 people who prefer remote learning. And I do that fraction, I get about 13.8%. Okay, last one down here, we are going to need to, oh, I'm sorry, this is a conditional relative frequency. Okay, and again, we know that because of the given. And these are super tricky, folks. So remember, one of the key skills is reading the words for understanding. This tripped people up on the product as well. So if it's something you're still struggling with, that's all right. But now we need to think about how do we use this opportunity, again, to fill in those gaps. Finally, write a relative frequency question whose answer involves the fraction 27/40/43. Some people did write a brand new question, and if you did that, it is possible to get full credit. However, it's not expected that you do that, right? You're more than welcome to use the values that were given to you in this table, right? I threw a bunch of ones in here so that you would just have to identify the key values that you needed. So for example, here's 27 and here's 43. So you could say, what percent of people prefer hybrid? Okay, given that the favorite class is biology. Once you see given that the favorite class is biology, right? Now we hone in on these 43 people, and when you say hybrid, we hone in on those 27. Folks, so hopefully this helped you out. If there's any questions you still have, please go back, rewind, and take a look. Otherwise, I'm moving on to the next problem. All right, so hopefully you guys found that this was a pretty clear distribution. Data is definitely not skewed right. And if it's not skewed right, The IQR should not be used as the measure of spread because it's only for skewed data. The mean is the appropriate measure of center, and as you can see, the median and the mean are exactly the same. So if you didn't know it was skewed, look to the data and the statistics below that show you the mean and the median are exactly the same, making this data symmetric. There's no data that skews that mean, makes it unreliable on either end. Okay, so I've explained it verbally. I won't explain it in writing. All right, shape, outlier, center, spread. Shape, data is symmetric. Outliers, no, there's no outliers. Okay, center and spread, here's where we kind of got different answers and lost some points. So remember that you need to tell me why you're choosing the measurement in terms of the shape. Since the data is symmetric, you got to tell me the measurement that you're using and the value. Okay, the mean of 5.5 represents the center. Okay, and then the spread, since the data is symmetric, okay, remember you're going to use the standard deviation. Standard deviation of 1.72 represents the spread. And forgive my handwriting. Hopefully these explanations are making sense, folks. I encourage you again to use 2019-2020 or 2020-2021 rather. Please use handout 1-3. All right. On to the next question we had here. A model we had to analyze, and the goal was to take a look at the correlation coefficient. Okay, we can see it's a 0.5. So for this one, we do need a complete sentence. It's got to involve the type and the strength of the correlation. So here you need to say, there is a, what's the type, what's the strength? It's weak. Now I heard some people say weak strong. Think about it, those words don't make sense together. They contradict each other. So remember, we now need to know the type, positive or negative, and the answer is positive. If the graph is going up left to right, it's positive. So there's a weak positive correlation between SAT score and final exam score. Okay, there's a weak positive correlation. I know because 1, the points are far away from the line, and 2, because the R value is not close to 1. Okay, it's 0.5. It's a weak positive correlation. So the moral of the story is what we're getting at in the second question, should it be used to a stat as a model? And the answer is no. And it's no because of the type and the strength of the correlation. Okay, because the correlation's weak, what that means in this case is that the line does not do a good job of representing the data. It's not a good representation. So as a result, we can't make reliable predictions based on the line. You can also see from the data that there really doesn't appear to be a strong correlation if you look at it. If you think about the SAT score, right? There's people who got nearly 800 that ended up doing pretty well in the final exam. They scored more than 100 out of 120. You can see someone who got almost 800. But there's also someone who got just over 700 and performed really, really poorly, right? Here's someone with about a 630, not a bad SAT score, got 0, right? So it indicates to me that just because you get a good SAT score though generally it looks like you tend to do better, there isn't a super sturdy correlation. All right. Last one, this is a social justice context. So I took some cities in Massachusetts, and on the x-axis, I put the median household income, and on the y-axis, I put the percent of households with a desktop or laptop computer. So what I did here is we did get a regression equation, and we got our R value, and now we need to describe the type and strength of the correlation. So there is A. Now, 0.79, I would still say, maybe you could say fairly strong. It's not as strong maybe as 0.9, but it is pretty strong. There's a very strong correlation between median household income, MHI, I'm going to abbreviate it as, and percent of households with a computer. Okay, that kind of makes sense if you think about it. The more money you have in your coming into the household on average, the more likely you are to be able to afford that technology of having the computer. Okay. Now we're going to predict what happens in the town when the income is 50 grand. Is it an interpolation or an extrapolation? So in this case, you can see median household income is an X value. So you are supposed to use the equation. (0,002) X plus 62.479. And so X, you're just going to take it. You're going to plug it in. Okay, I'm going to do some of calculators. 0.0002 times 50,000 plus 62.479. And I get about 72.47. So about 72% of households have a computer. So if you think about it, if the median household income is 50,000, that could present some pretty significant challenges for individuals right now who might need to do a lot of learning at home. All right, so that's something you might want to think about. So, folks, thanks for taking the time to watch. Again, the purpose of this video is to sum up Cohort C1's quiz. Please make sure you're thinking about the answers here, you're reviewing everything for understanding, and please, 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 if you have any questions, let me know, whether during office hours, whether during over email, over Remind, let me know. I'm here to help. I'm looking forward to seeing what comes of it. Best of luck, folks. Stay positive, and remember, you can do it. All right, until next time, folks, have a wonderful day.